She's not coming right. She always makes things awkward. My sister laughed as if I wasn't standing 5 feet away. Funny, considering I'd paid for her dress, helped book the cruise, and even canceled my own plans to make it all happen. But when I found out they'd told everyone I chose not to come, I didn't fight it. I didn't text back. I just stopped answering. And 3 days later, when the cruise line flagged their upgraded cabins for financial fraud, let's just say the calls started pouring in, but I wasn't picking up. Don't skip this video because what they hid from me for 25 years will leave you speechless. There's one detail near the end that changed everything. Trust me, you'll want to watch until the very last second. Growing up in Indianapolis, I used to believe that being dependable meant being loved. I was the older daughter, the planner, the helper, the one who stepped up without being asked. My name's Tara Smith. I'm 28 years old, and for most of my life I thought loyalty was enough. I showed up for every family emergency, covered for missed bills, and made sure Grandma had groceries, even when I could barely afford my own. But nothing prepared me for what happened the week of the cruise. It had taken me nearly 8 months to save for that trip. I picked up extra hours at the accounting firm, skipped outings with friends, and watched YouTube videos on how to pack smart. It was supposed to be a celebration, our first real family vacation in years. Me, Mom, Dad, Emma, and a few cousins. 7 days in the Caribbean, matching outfits, cocktail nights. I even helped Emma pick out a sundress when she couldn't decide between two. "I want to look perfect in photos," she said. I smiled and nodded. Deep down, I hoped this trip would be a turning point. So when Mom called the night before departure, her voice cracking with concern, "Grandma's not well, sweetie. She needs someone here," I didn't hesitate. I looked at the open suitcase on my bed, the carefully packed flip-flops and sunscreen, and said, "I'll stay. Of course I'll stay." I canceled my flight and unpacked my bag. Emma didn't reply to my text asking if she could bring Grandma a souvenir, but I figured they were all stressed, maybe overwhelmed with last-minute prep. I kept telling myself I was doing the right thing, the good daughter, the steady one. Then came the notification. Emma had posted on social media. I opened it casually, expecting something about Grandma, maybe a prayer request or update. Instead, I saw champagne flutes raised golden sunlight splashing across the deck of a cruise ship, and a caption that said, "Best vacation ever with the best people. So grateful for family time. Inusrikor cruise vibes." I blinked. There they were. My mom, my dad, Emma, my aunts and uncles, even our cousin Nate who lives in Nevada. All grinning, all sun-kissed, all accounted for. Except me. I pulled over on the side of the road and stared at the photo, my hands shaking. The photo didn't hurt as much as the realization they hadn't forgotten me. They had removed me. And they'd used the one person I love most, my grandmother, as bait to do it. I drove straight to the hospital, half in panic, half in disbelief. I asked the front desk if Grandma had been admitted. The nurse looked confused. "There's no one here under that name," she said. My stomach turned. I tried calling Mom, straight to voicemail. Then I checked Emma's profile again. Blocked. No calls, no explanations, just a digital wall that made it clear I was no longer part of the picture. Tears welled up as I turned the car toward Grandma's house. Her porch light was on. When she opened the door, healthy and completely unaware of any medical emergency, I broke. "Grandma," I whispered. "They lied. They told me you were in the hospital." Her eyebrows knitted in confusion, then quickly flattened into something more serious, something I'd never seen from her before. "Tara," she said quietly, leading me inside. "We need to talk." The moment I stepped into Grandma's living room, the weight of everything hit me. The smell of lemon polish, the soft hum of her old clock, the family photos lining the shelves. It all made me feel like a little girl again, looking for comfort in a world that never quite made room for me. I sat on the edge of the floral couch, still shaking. Grandma brought me tea without asking. That's the thing about her, she always knew when words weren't enough. "They told me you were in the hospital." I said, my voice raw. "Mom said you needed me, that you were sick." She paused at the table, her hand hovering over her cup. "No one in this house has been sick," she said slowly. Your mother called last week, though. Asked if I'd go along with a story in case you showed up. Said it was for planning reasons. I told her no. I didn't think they'd actually do it. My stomach twisted. So they just went without me. Looks that way, Grandma said, sitting across from me. Her tone was quiet, but her eyes were hard. I showed her the photo Emma posted, the same sundress I helped her choose, the same smiles I used to dream of being part of. Then I zoomed in on Mom's neck. Is that the necklace I asked? Grandma leaned in. It is. That necklace was supposed to be for both of you. Your great-grandmother left it with instructions to pass it down equally split between the girls on their 30th birthdays. I guess Emma got the whole thing early, I muttered. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Grandma stood up and walked to the side cabinet where she kept her important papers. She pulled out a large manila envelope and handed it to me. I wasn't going to show you this yet, she said, but I think you need to see it now. Inside were years of notes, receipts, emails, photos, meticulous records, Emma's ballet tuition summer programs, private school invoices, all paid directly by my parents, my college bills, blank. I remembered working late shifts at a coffee shop, crying in the library bathroom after exams because I couldn't afford rent. There were even emails where my parents discussed keeping Tara out of the loop because I was too sensitive. I blinked hard, trying not to let the tears fall. Why didn't you ever say anything I asked quietly? I was hoping they'd grow out of it, Grandma said. Favoritism is a dangerous thing, but I wanted to believe they'd see you, really see you. But they never did, and now they've used me as a weapon to keep you out. That word weapon made me sick. They knew how close I was to Grandma. They knew I'd drop everything if I thought she needed me, and they used that against me. Grandma's voice dropped lower. 2 months ago, I gave your parents $15,000 to help cover a vacation. I told them it was for the whole family. I wanted you all to have something to share, something to remember. They said they were booking rooms for everyone. I even asked them for your confirmation number. Your mom said it was all taken care of. So they used my share to upgrade their own trip. I asked, my voice shaking. Yes, Grandma said firmly, and I don't think it was the first time. I leaned back into the couch, my breath shallow. It wasn't just that they lied. It was that they saw me as expendable, as a resource, not a daughter. You know what hurts the most, I said, staring at my chipped nail polish. They didn't need to lie. They could have just told me they didn't want me there. But instead, they used you, knowing how much I love you, to manipulate me. Grandma reached for my hand. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are even when they think they're hiding it, she said. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? I didn't answer right away. But something inside me shifted. Because this time, I wasn't just going to forgive and move on. This time, I was going to remember everything and act accordingly. The next morning, I sat on the floor of my apartment, Grandma's folder of documents spread around me like puzzle pieces. My suitcase was still half unpacked in the corner, flip-flops sticking out of the side pocket like a joke. The silence in the room felt thick, broken only by the hum of the fridge and the occasional buzz of my phone. A message lit up the screen. Emma, why are you spreading lies? You're always so dramatic. We just wanted peace on this trip. You could have chosen to be happy for once. I stared at it. No apology, no accountability, just deflection, blame, guilt. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened Instagram, took a screenshot of Emma's cruise photo, the one with Mom's necklace and the champagne toast, and posted it to my feed. Caption funny. How being told my grandmother was in the hospital just to exclude me from a family vacation somehow makes me the villain. Even funnier, the $15,000 they used to pay for it was a gift from Grandma meant for all of us. I hit post. Within minutes, the comments rolled in. Old friends from high school messaged me stunned. Family friends asked, "Wait, what happened?" Distant cousins reached out saying they'd always sensed something was off, that they noticed how I was treated at reunions. Even my coworker Jenna messaged. This explains so much. I always wondered why you looked exhausted after family events. Then my phone rang. Dad. I let it ring twice before answering. "Tara," he said, skipping any pretense. "Take that post down. Now. You're humiliating this family." "No," I said calmly. "You did that the moment you lied about Grandma. You don't understand the bigger picture," he snapped. "We've protected you for years, kept things from you for your own good." I felt a strange calmness settle in me. Like what? Silence. "Then if you don't take it down and apologize, I promise you'll regret it. You have no idea what's at stake." I almost laughed. "Are you threatening me?" I asked. "I'm warning you. There are things we never told you, things you don't want aired publicly. Don't push us. Click." The line went dead. For a long moment, I just sat there holding the phone, my thumb resting on the end call button. Then I called Grandma. "They're threatening me," I said. Her voice was steady. "Then it's time you know the truth. Go check your email. I just sent you something." I opened my laptop, heart-pounding, breath shallow, and there it was, a scanned document dated 25 years ago, a trust agreement. My maternal grandfather, who died when I was 3, had left behind over $2 million. The trust was meant to be divided equally between all his grandchildren when they turned 30. But only one name showed consistent withdrawals: Emma. My name barely appeared. Page after page, it was all there: tuition, dance camps, her wedding. All paid from the trust, my trust, money that should have gone toward my education, my life. Stolen. I couldn't breathe. My fingers trembled as I opened the second attachment. Bank statements, notes, annotations. A familiar name signed off on most of them: Uncle Michael, the trustee. Then a third email came through, from Uncle Michael himself, Tara. I can't stay silent anymore. What they did with the cruise money was the last straw. Attached are all the records, every transaction, every lie. I should have stopped them years ago. I'm so sorry. I opened the files. Emma's high school abroad program paid with trust funds. Emma's honeymoon flights charged to the account under educational enrichment. Even the down payment on her first condo. It wasn't just favoritism, it was fraud. I stared at the screen, feeling something inside me shift from grief to grit. The betrayal had been layered, calculated, institutional, and now I had proof. And I wasn't going to stay quiet. The morning air felt colder than usual as I wrapped a blanket around myself and sat at my kitchen table staring at the storm of evidence Uncle Michael had sent. Dozens of PDF files, spreadsheets, even email exchanges between my mother and him, negotiating, redirecting, justifying every theft with phrases like, "It's all family anyway, and Tara doesn't need to know." I hadn't slept, not because of fear, but because my mind wouldn't stop running. Replaying birthdays, Emma got spa weekends while I got texts. Remembering when I drove Grandma to urgent care at 3 a.m., while Emma posted selfies from music festivals. And still, I was the one they called dramatic, difficult, too sensitive. A ping broke my thoughts. Another text from Emma. "Emma, I know what you're trying to do. You've always been jealous of me, but it's too late now. By the time you figure it all out, we'll be gone, and you'll have nothing." I stared at it, read it twice, not just cruel, desperate. I forwarded it to Uncle Michael. His reply came fast. "She just confirmed everything. They're moving money out now, faster than I thought." He called me seconds later, his voice tight with worry. "I found recent transfers to offshore accounts. Your parents are trying to liquidate what's left of your trust. Emma's been helping. They're setting up new accounts in her name under a shell company. Tara, they're planning to leave the country." My breath caught. "They used the cruise as a test run," he continued. "Checked if their passports would trigger any red flags. They were planning their exit." I stood, adrenaline spiking through my chest. "We have to stop them. I've already contacted the family attorney," he said. "But we need to move quickly. I think they're trying to wipe any trace from the company, too. Financial logs, shareholder info, even the server backups." I called Grandma. "They're at the office right now," she said without even saying hello. "Security called me 20 minutes ago. Your father's cleaning out his desk. Can they stop him?" "Better." I called the FBI, Financial Crimes Division. They're en route. But Tara, listen carefully. I filed the ownership transfer paperwork first thing this morning. You are now the controlling shareholder of the company. I froze. What, you own it? Legally. They don't know yet. But you need to get there now, before they destroy anything. My heart was pounding. I grabbed my bag keys in hand when another message from my mother came in. Mom, you ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you, you'll regret this. We gave you a life, and this is how you repay us. But this time, I wasn't rattled. I didn't cry. I didn't even respond. I drove. When I pulled into the company parking lot, I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Emma, standing outside with boxes. My father's face was red, barking orders. Emma looked pale, her phone clutched tight in her hand. My mother wore sunglasses even though it was cloudy. They froze when they saw me step out of my car. "What are you doing here?" Dad snapped, trying to regain his CEO tone. "Funny," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I was about to ask you the same thing." "You have no authority here," he barked. "I do. Now," I said, pulling out my phone and opening the ownership certificate Grandma had emailed me. Grandma transferred her controlling shares. Effective this morning, I'm the majority shareholder. He went pale. Emma took a step back. I walked forward. And as acting shareholder, I'm requesting an immediate audit of the materials in those boxes. If anything goes missing before law enforcement arrives, it's tampering. "You wouldn't dare," Mom hissed. "Try me," I said. Right then, red and blue lights splashed across the parking lot. Police cars pulled up, followed by 2 black SUVs with government plates. FBI agents stepped out. Behind them came Uncle Michael, and in the passenger seat of his car, Grandma. Emma's face crumpled. My father tried to speak to explain, but the agents approached calm but firm. I watched as they took the boxes asked for IDs and started reading Miranda rights, and still I said nothing, because the truth was speaking loud enough. 3 months later, fall settled over Indianapolis like a quiet apology. Leaves crunched underfoot as I walked through Grandma's backyard, coffee in hand, the same garden where we used to sit during summers and talk about nothing. Now we talked about everything. The investigation had moved quickly, faster than any of us expected. Thanks to Uncle Michael's full cooperation and the mountain of records Grandma had preserved over the years, the FBI filed charges within weeks: embezzlement, trust, fraud, tax, evasion, corporate theft. My parents were arrested. Emma, facing a possible indictment, cut a deal. She gave them everything Grandma said, sitting next to me, wrapped in her old flannel shawl. Emails, passwords, even the name of the shell account in the Caymans. She always liked quick exits. I replied, not bitter, just factual. Emma moved to Minnesota, took a job as a hotel receptionist. No trust fund, no family money. Her last message to me was a 4-paragraph apology, emotional, tearful, blaming our parents for most of it, asking for forgiveness. I didn't respond. Some wounds don't close just because the bleeding stops. Instead, I focused on what I could build. With Grandma's help and the legal authority of my newly inherited shares, I took over the family company. I didn't want power, I wanted accountability. I hired an external audit firm, fired the executives my father had installed, introduced employee oversight committees, rebuilt the financial systems, and created something my grandfather would have been proud of. We launched a scholarship program for employee children. I met with staff personally. Some of them told me with quiet embarrassment how they had always suspected things were off, but didn't know how deep it ran. "I just assumed you were the distant daughter," one woman admitted gently. "Turns out, you were the one holding the door open the whole time." I smiled even though the words hurt. That was the pattern, wasn't it? I kept showing up. They kept slamming the door, until finally I built my own house. Some nights I still get texts from extended family, confused, curious, occasionally accusatory. "You didn't have to go public. You should have kept it private. They're still your parents. But they don't understand. They weren't the ones who gave up birthdays, weekends, and summers trying to earn love that was never on offer. They weren't the ones who were told you're imagining it. They didn't sit in a hospital lobby waiting for a grandmother who was never sick. I did. I lived it. I survived it. And now I'm finally done explaining myself. Grandma turned to me as we sat under the changing trees. You know, she said, her voice soft, your grandfather always believed the truth would surface no matter how long people tried to bury it. She looked at me, eyes crinkling. He would be proud of you. I nodded, the lump in my throat too big to speak around. I didn't want this, Grandma, I finally whispered. I just wanted to be included, to matter. And now you do, she said, to the people who matter back. I sipped my coffee, watching the wind scatter red and gold leaves across the lawn. Somewhere far away, my parents were awaiting trial. Emma was rebuilding her life in silence. And me, I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. The cruise they went on without me wasn't the dream they thought it was. It was the beginning of their unraveling and the beginning of my own peace. The company's annual board meeting was held in late November in a modest conference room downtown. No more flashy hotel ballrooms or wasteful catering contracts, just clean coffee folders with real numbers and people who actually cared about the work we were doing. I sat at the head of the table, not because I wanted the power, but because no one else could be trusted with it. Across from me sat a young woman named Kelsey, a junior analyst who had once worked directly under my father. I just wanted to say, she began nervously fiddling with her pen when I saw the emails, what he'd said about you. I felt sick. I didn't know you were the daughter he was talking about. I gave her a small, tired smile. It's okay. No, she said more firmly. It's not. He made you sound unstable, emotional, that you didn't understand the business, but the numbers told a different story. It wasn't the first time I'd heard it. My father had spent years undermining me in quiet ways, suggesting I couldn't handle pressure, subtly removing me from meetings, keeping my name off documents. He painted me as erratic even as I worked behind the scenes to keep things running. And now that he was gone, the truth had emerged like a cracked foundation finally exposed. After the meeting, I walked past his old office, now cleared out, its walls bare. The desk he used to sit behind while dismissing my ideas now held a plaque that read, "Integrity first, always." Grandma had given it to me the week after the arrests. You need to put this somewhere visible, she'd said, so no one forgets how we got here. I never did. Later that evening, I returned to my apartment. I stood in the hallway for a moment, looking around. The same apartment I was in when Mom lied about Grandma being sick. The same walls that heard me cry the night I saw the cruise photo. But now everything felt different. The silence no longer carried shame, it carried clarity. I poured a glass of wine and sat down with Grandma's manila envelope one last time. Inside, near the bottom, was something I hadn't noticed before, a letter handwritten in ink starting to fade. Tara, if you're reading this, it means you've seen the truth. I'm sorry for every time I didn't stop them, for every holiday where you sat quietly and still weren't seen. But I want you to know I always saw you, every act of kindness, every time you showed up when no one else did. You were never invisible. You were indispensable. I hope someday you believe it too. Grandma. I closed the letter slowly, my chest tight. Sometimes the people who love us most aren't the loudest. They're the ones who leave proof behind when we need it most. I stood, walked to the kitchen and opened the drawer where I had kept old cruise documents, invoices, and texts from Emma that I used to reread, wondering if I had misunderstood. I threw them all out, because I didn't need reminders of who they were. I had finally figured out who I was. The fallout had been messy legal battles, family rifts, awkward silences at holidays, but it was also clarifying. I no longer bent myself into smaller shapes to fit places that were never made for me. And somewhere out there, my parents were finally facing consequences. No more whispered excuses, no more stolen futures. Just the truth. I stepped out onto the balcony as the first snow of the season began to fall. Quiet, clean, unapologetic. I didn't need a cruise to find peace. I just needed to walk away and never return. Have you ever been pushed out of something you helped build or watched someone you love be erased by their own family? Tell me your story in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand your ground in silence.